refugees entering the United States. President Obama is trying to assure governors that refugees in its resettlement program undergo a rigorous vetting process, especially those fleeing Syria. But many governors are trying to block the refugees from entering their states. That includes Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who cites a federal bill authorizing states to control the funding to the nonprofits that deal with refugees. So does Texas have authority to not accept Syrian refugees, and is there growing support for that idea? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in the newsroom is our panel led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. The latest polls show that most Americans do not support Syrian refugees entering our country. What do you guys think about that? Does that come as a surprise to you?
Not after the Paris attacks, and there's been a lot of talk about refugees and immigration into this country during the Republican debates and the Republican run for the White House that has caused the public to focus on this. So I'm not surprised that that there's been a backlash here. But the legal question: can Governor Abbott or any other governor bar Syrian refugees from their state? The answer is no. They don't have the legal authority to do that. There's two reasons why. First is the Refugee Act of 1980 that says the state cannot bar refugees being settled in their state. And second, we have this document that everyone may have heard of called the United States Constitution. And that Constitution says that we're free to move about this country if we're here lawfully. And so there's really nothing the governors can do to stop it. What Governor Abbott is saying, and the other governors, we control the money, and if you send them here, we will ensure that we don't give them any money, Jackie Bally, but that doesn't give them the lawful authority to say you can't come here.
So there are a lot of things. You have Governor Abbott and 36 other governors who have sent letters and sent pledges stating exactly what Governor Abbott said. Look, we because of the safety of our residents and citizens, we do not want to have refugees here. You also have the FBI director saying he is not confident. He does not have confidence in the vetting process. So when you have a lot of your residents and your citizens who are having concerns about the refugees coming in, you have the administrators who are supposed to be in charge of the vetting process saying that it is not a good vetting process. I can understand why Governor Abbott has acted the way he has. If the president says, look, you don't have any valid or legal jurisdiction to do what you do, guess what? We will probably challenge that, and so will the other 36 states.
They still don't have the legal authority, though.
Well, look, Americans are afraid because there's a lot of misinformation out there. What they're seeing is kind of what we were watching a minute ago, this B-roll of people walking across, right? People in camps. That's not what a process looks like. They're in some place for over 2 years. The vetting is far more deeper. And I did read still the FBI director's testimony. It wasn't that he didn't say he had no confidence. He was talking about something very specific, because I think people twist the words and make things sound what they're not. And long term, when you look at the polls, when Jewish Americans were coming to the United States before they were American, 10,000 of them, the polls were against taking them in, and we're better off for taking them in as we would be by taking them in.
And not everybody's opposed. I mean, Shepard Smith with the Fox News Channel said just this week when he was talking about why Governor Abbott and the other governors are wrong, he said, today we mourn, but we cannot allow ourselves to become like those that want to destroy us.
And I wanted to quote...
Hang on. We cannot resort to the tactics of the barbarians. We must fight for what we believe in and who we are, guard our freedoms faithfully for the generations to follow, and we must not let the rhetoric of the potential and political extremists among us lead us to self-destruction. And when there's panic, we know resolve. When there's calm for extremism, we resist. We are America. We must lead. And that is from the Fox News Channel.
And McCall, who is over our committee dealing with combating terrorism, he released a 66-page report, and it specifically said that they'd raised dozens of major concerns, including gaping security weaknesses in overseas Syrian refugee programs. This is a direct quote from the FBI Director, James Carney, which goes back to why Americans and residents and citizens have a fear of letting these refugees in when this is a direct quote from the FBI Director.
Before I go to Sally, is this political rhetoric, or is it real fear, and is it justified?
Well, look, I think the real fear amongst Americans is, you know, you're seeing the Paris attacks. You're seeing people march across Europe. And so you have the sense that there is no process, that they're just going to let anybody in. And those that know, and those that understand, you know, we have taken over 800,000 refugees just last year alone. This is these are the people that supported us on the front lines. Those are the people, the Iraqis that we brought in were translators. They were supporting our troops, keeping our troops safe in Iraq. Those are the people that you're settling in the United States. And so when you take parcels of testimonies and you change the words, that's how you breed fear in Americans.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, let's take a look at Facebook here in a comment from Hunter. He says the only thing the governor can do legally is not provide state resources to the refugees. This would make it a big inconvenience on the feds, most likely making them send refugees elsewhere. But states in the end do not have the authority over the government, the federal government. And he goes on to say, I don't see how folks could seriously be willing to turn their backs on the truly needy. Just my 2 cents. Is that correct, his legal opinion there, Chris?
I think he's absolutely right about that. The governor controls the flow of funds through the state, and so he could make it very inconvenient for the United States government to place people here, but he does not have the legal authority to bar anyone from coming into the state of Texas. And so we're almost out of time. Is this political rhetoric?
Of course not. I mean, when you have a bipartisan 66-page report and he can say all he wants to, we're cutting pieces, it's very clear, a direct quote from the director, that's not cutting bits and pieces, it's a 66-page bipartisan committee that raised serious concerns about this vetting process. This is coming from the director. This is coming from various members of the administration. This is not something that's being made up by Republicans. This is a true fact that's stated.
2 months ago, Ted Cruz said that we can assimilate the Syrian refugees into this country, and now he's opposed. Why is that not political rhetoric?
Well, I think everyone has seen exactly what's going on in Paris, and everyone has been heightened. The fact that you have 60% of Americans now saying they want boots on the ground, and before Paris, we did not say that at all. That Paris has changed our thinking in a lot of ways.
How about that? Final thought. We're out of time.
Well, look, this is an ongoing discussion, and it's a good discussion we should have. But we shouldn't make decisions out of fear. We should make them out of good policy.